The Minister of Transport, Fikile Mbalula, will launch the Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa Ministerial Security Plan. Now, the Minister is expected to present a comprehensive multidisciplinary approach to protect Prasa infrastructure against unprecedented levels of vandalism. Let's bring in our reporter, Nozinto Mbimia, who's covering the story for us. Nozi, tell us more.
Thank you so much, Blaine. From your intro, what this basically means is that, Prasa had previously outsourced their security measures, outsourced them to individual security service providers. And this had contributed to a very large extent to the theft that was seen at the railway stations, copper theft. And it was an issue that Prasa said they were struggling to get to grips with. And as a result, they then decided that they were going to insource the use of security guards, and they went through a really rigorous interviewing and hiring process, and hired as a result about 3,100 insourced security guards that will be reporting directly to Prasa. But now, as a result, what's happened is that some of the security guards who used to work for the security providers have been left without a job. And behind me, there are quite a number of those former security guards who came here in protest, knowing that the minister will be here a little bit shortly before midday to protest the fact that they are out of a job in these difficult times and that they were not considered. And to talk to me a little bit more about this, we have the leader of that movement, Mr. Andries Potsani. Mr. Potsani, thank you so much for joining me. You guys are here. You know that the minister will be here. What is the biggest concern that you want the Minister of Transport to talk to you about and to start addressing?
Yeah, the reason why, ma'am, we are here, we want to talk to the minister, and then we want to put it clear to him that what is happening now, he must stop it with immediate effect, because this is a more corruption. Corruption is still now going on. And then as members, we are saying, minister, because the people who are being hired now, some of them, they took out money to get that job. And then some of them, they don't have experience to work at the rail lines. That is the reason that we are here today. And then another reason why we are here again is because of Prasa. They did not respect the court order. There is a court order that says all private security companies, they must go back to work, and Prasa started to do things in a right way. But Prasa is not doing that. In other words, that is a contempt of court, And then members are saying they must be insourced, whether Prasa like it or not. Because why members are saying that? They worked for Prasa so many years as service providers. They do have experience. They worked at the railway stations. Do you understand? And people are being hired now. They don't have that experience. Are they new people? Some of them are the families and relatives. And some of them, they took out money to get that job. That's why we are saying, Minister, don't go on with this corruption issue. Do you understand? Stop it immediately, and then we start a new processes. Members were marched to Prasa offices, to the Minister's Transport, proposing how can you implement this issue of insourcing. Insource people who have experience, at railway stations. Okay.
Mr. Potsani, one of the concerns that Prasa had is that with the outsourcing of security, it had led to a lot of gaps, and it had led to a lot of theft being left wide open. And they're not saying it is you guys who have done the theft, but they are saying that the outsourcing of their security has been a challenge and has contributed to the issue of theft. Talk to me about that. Do you think that is a true accusation?
Ma'am, I think Makosini Nkosi must stop lying to the public. Because the person who decided to remove the private security at work on that time, he must take responsibility. Because you can't remove security that was guarding the workplace, do you understand, without plan B. Do you understand? That's why now stations are like this. Because immediately they take out the security officers, there was no plan B. There was no security patrol. There was nothing. In other words, the person who decided to take out or to remove or to terminate the private security companies, he must take responsibility. And Makosini Ngozi must stop lying to the public saying these security officers are the ones who stealing and the companies also they were involved. That is a pure lie. We do have footages, photos, whereby Prasa officials themselves are the ones who were stealing these cables and whatsoever. And nothing is happening about that. You can hear from yourself, even the medias, that Prasa members were caught stealing and they are having a scrapyard somewhere in towns. Do you understand? But security officers, they did not steal anything from Prasa premises.
Yeah. Of course, Mr. Makwasini will get a chance later to respond to these allegations along with the Minister of Transport. But Mr. Andries, let's move the story a little bit further. You've said as a result of the fact that none of your members have been hired, this has had a negative impact on their lives. And earlier, when you were addressing the Prasa officials, you spoke about this gentleman standing right next to you, saying that he and his wife had both lost a job and it had affected their families. Talk to me about the toll the lack of the job has taken on you and your members.
Ma'am, really, this thing is a serious problem. You know, just feel it, just put it in your shoes. If it was you losing a job and your wife also losing a job, is a serious problem. You understand? And then, as I've indicated before, people who are standing here, they have some rents to pay, they have account to pay, they are paying, they borrow loans, apply loans from the banks. They can't even pay that even today. Do you understand? Because they lost their job. You know, this thing affected themselves, even their families. Their children, some of them, they are writing matrics. You do a matric certificate, matric exams, you know, but their fathers and mothers, they don't have job. They can't even have money to go to school. It's going to affect not only these individuals, people who are, or this group that is standing here. We are talking about plus minus 4,000 security officers who don't have jobs.
All right, Mr. Andries, before we get off there with you, sir, just talk to me a little bit about how challenging this time has been with the lockdown and the fact that you haven't had a job. How has that affected your family?
Thank you very much. I'm Moses Muira, security officer of R1 Security. These people from Prasa, they use lockdown as a weapon to remove us. That they don't want us to work as under the lockdown. Remember, we started this issue for insourcing on July last year. From July, they start coming with their problems. We are spending more than 3 months without pay. How we can survive without pay for 3 months? But we are trying. When we're getting paid, we're going back to work. When we're going back to work, another 3 months is coming without money until lockdown is coming.
Yeah. All right. Mr. Moses, that's a very sad story. And I think, Mr. Andries, this is exactly what you're talking about how the corruption issue has led to your members being affected. And I know that you were talking about the issue of corruption being rooted out. Just quickly, your final thoughts about the issue of corruption that needs to be addressed, the corruption you allege is happening here in Prasa. Just talk to me about that.
The reason why we are talking about the corruption, as Mr. Mbalula indicated, some of the companies even today are not paid. And if companies are not paid, that simply means members are not paid. There are members who are standing here since January until now, they did not get their salaries. And when we confronted the companies, they will tell you about Prasa, you know. But Prasa today is recruiting new people who are going to get better salary and then better jobs. Do you understand? That's why we are indicating, we are saying, Minister, you must stop this with immediate effect and start the new process.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Andries Potsane, the leader of this group of people that you can see as my camera person is panning. And I'm going to ask Blaine, I'm going to ask my camera colleague Tabi Sopaki to just do a bit more of a pan just to show the people behind me. And these people behind me are the people that are the security people that were hired by the individual security company. And this is obviously what we call the outsourcing. And what Prasa has done now is that they have since insourced the use of security guards, and we heard from Mr. Andries Potsane here the issue alleging the issues that he's alleging around the issue of corruption, and saying that the hiring process of the insourcing has led to corruption. It's led to people buying jobs, a lot of further corruption, and that there was no plan that was put in place once these group of security guards had been removed. And it will be very interesting to see a little bit later today when the Minister of Transport does come through to address the media to get his response to the allegations that have been leveled against the Department of Transport and against Prasa by this group of former security personnel who have now been left without a job. We heard the harrowing story of Mr. Moses and his wife, who've both lost a job and have been without work for 3 months. And these are the issues that Prasa really has to grapple with, that the Department of Transport has to grapple with in their move to ensuring that they have insourced not just the 3,100 security officers, but to ensure that the process is fair and equitable to the people, the security guards who have been working in the sector for the past few years. Blaine.
No doubt we'll wait with bated breath to hear what the Minister has to say with regards to some of these allegations. What time is this launch likely to start?
Well, initially, Blaine, the launch was supposed to start at about 10 o'clock, but we got word that the Minister was still in a meeting and that the launch would start anytime after 11. And, it'll be quite interesting to see and to hear what the Minister has to say. Obviously, coincidentally, as he drives into the Roodsfield station, he'll actually be able to see the group of security guards protesting outside. So he'd have had to be aware and seeing a visual awareness of the issues and the challenges. So by the time he does go up to the press conference room, he should be ready to give us some sort of answers, and not just the media, but also to give answers to these security officers who are outside here, who say they have been without jobs for the past 3 months. Blaine.
Nozintombe Mia, thank you very much indeed for helping us understand the situation better. We'll go back to her when the launch actually begins. Well,